Welcome to Martechify, a community of marketing professionals interested in digital marketing, MarTech, and AI. I'm your host, Ekaterina Konovalova, and today my guest is Fabio Fiss, who is the Vice President of Digital Experience and Technology at ModUp. Fabio, welcome!
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your career journey to the Vice President level? How did you start?
Sure. So I've been working for ModUp for 10 years. I've been working in the industry for almost 20 years now. Started very early. Started as a web designer first back in the day, and then transitioned more to become a full front-end web developer, and became more sophisticated there. And then over time here at ModUp, I transitioned my roles into tech lead for projects, tech director, and eventually VP of technology, always working with the digital experience team and across the business with other teams that are more in the traditional marketing and advertising space.
All right. So you're a perfect expert to ask about current trends in web development. And of course, with AI, so many things have changed. So
Yeah.
can you tell us more about where web development is headed?
Yeah, so I see three big changes happening related to AI. I think using AI for code generation, right? That's been a very strong trend, especially this year, 2025. We really found a use case for that, I think, in the industry, and it's been growing. We can talk more about that. On the platform side of things, content managements are super important. And we've been having a lot of transition into more these enterprise level content management systems, both for business to consumer type of experiences and business to business, right? So that has been growing in demand. And then finally, I think what we've seen a lot is an increase from client demand to understand really compliance overall in different areas. So performance, security, accessibility, those areas of just the ways that we have to collaborate across disciplines to make sure that websites are fully compliant, depending on different countries in the world as well. So it's been very important for clients, and it's been growing in demand.
All right. And what are your favorite platforms and tools for web development?
So my background from the beginning with web development has always been in WordPress. I'm very much into the open source side of the world with web design and web development. So WordPress is definitely still one of my favorites. It's been growing over the years to really become a full-fledged enterprise solution as well, not just how it used to be maybe 10 years or 15 years ago, just a simple blog platform, right? So it's been growing in demand and in need, and it's so flexible, right, that I feel that it's still a strong platform. There are other platforms out there that have been growing as well. So Shopify comes to mind, especially in that e-commerce space, competing head-to-head with WooCommerce as a solution under the WordPress side of the world. And then, we have a lot of expertise in ModUp with the open source technologies that, come from the JavaScript world. So there's a lot of modern approaches there, and different ways to handle headless as sites, right? Or these kind of decouple experiences. So in that level, there's a lot of different platforms for content management, but on the way to load the front end of these sites, the visual experience, Next.js has been surfacing as a very key modern technology. So as a platform and as a solution, it's been growing.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that you develop websites for different clients. So can you touch on what kind of clients or industries, and the bigger clients, are they preferring WordPress or a different platform?
Yeah, so we have a strong pipeline with WordPress in our digital experience team. As far as industries, we are very close with the travel and destination industry. So a lot of clients there in the traditional sense, and a lot of clients that are, very close to digital experiences, right? Real estate is another big industry for us. A lot of it in business to business more than consumer-driven experiences, right? But real estate is definitely important. And then entertainment is another industry. They historically were using more just basic technologies, but they've had to evolve and look at very powerful enterprise solutions. And then finally, technology companies too, which by design, they need to look at the latest and greatest solutions out there. So WordPress fits in all of those industries as a platform. And a lot of times we have clients directly coming to us already with a platform set up in WordPress. We have one new client, for example, in the technology industry. They're a large chip manufacturer in the US, for example, and they came to us already in WordPress to begin with, and they want to stay in that platform. On the e-commerce side, like I said, we're seeing more traction from Shopify as well. So experiences that are more driven for consumers tend to go with Shopify now too. But we've had, even on the business to business side, we have one client more in the industry that just goes directly to businesses. So they have a network of vendors, for example. They are picking up Shopify to build their marketplaces. So they, instead of just selling through with custom experiences, which was the history with a lot of these business to businesses, they instead are leveraging platforms like Shopify. So
That's an interesting trend that, yes, logically it makes sense B2B WordPress, but how the expansion to Shopify with B2B is
yeah.
relevant these days, that's interesting. So let's dive deeper into WordPress, since I believe it still holds at least 40% of the market share, one of the leaders. What are the common misconceptions about security features or what it is capable of?
Yeah, I think so. I've been in this industry for a long time, like I said. So one thing I've observed is that people don't come to us anymore with the idea that WordPress is just for blogs anymore. So that's evolved, right? The other thing that I see now is that people are really looking at WordPress as an enterprise platform. So in that sense, it changed a lot, but there's still a lot of scrutiny from security and IT teams, right? And it's not because they discount WordPress anymore like it used to be. Like a lot of IT teams would rule out WordPress already because it had a bad reputation in terms of security, right? But I think now what they're asking for us is to just walk them through our process to make sure that they understand how we are auditing the sites with them. Because what's been increasing in demand is just security audits across websites, across the platforms that we take, not just WordPress in particular. So they want to know what is your take? Like, how are you going to make sure that this website is checked and validated? And a lot of times these audits happen for security teams or for IT teams through third-party companies as well. They hire these third-party companies that do penetration testing and security audits. So they just want to make sure that the moment that these third-party companies come in, that the site's going to be in good health, right? So that's one area that's, we continue to have to collaborate with IT teams to, make sure that they understand what we're doing and how we're going to, validate that the site is working to the best standards.
So if you had a new client that approached you and they have a really basic website and they're ready for the next step, how would you decide what platform to recommend for them?
So we engage clients a lot in audits to begin with. Because there's different types of auditing client websites, but we really try to start with an audit to understand first business objectives and to understand the health of this website, not just from a tooling and platform perspective, but we bring in our SEO team, we bring in our UX UI team, we bring in some expertise in analytics to check the performance of the site, right? So with that data, then we inform recommendations and changes right? So that's usually the best way to start. If you have an old site or a site that you're just feeling that it's not really achieving your business goals, we try to audit first and then come up with recommendations. The other way that we can do is look at competitive analysis, right? So part of these audits sometimes just narrow down in their industry and look at competitors and try to understand the landscape. We do this approach with an environmental scan that we called, right? So we go through and we just check how competitors are approaching this kind of website, and if it's for lead generation, what are they doing to in terms of tactics to approach the customer and the user and get that lead. So we go through that exercise with clients, and the moments that we're able to do that kind of collaboration and audit the sites, and there's not just a clear set of requirements that we have to go through. It's actually better because it uncovers a lot of things that clients are not thinking about. So versus the usual take that it's we have an RFP already, or the client already has this kind of preset level of requirements, they just want to do that. We can also do that for most clients, but usually when we get a chance to audit, go deeper, understand what's going on, understand their business cases and business goals, we get a much better result at the end, because we can track back to those business objectives, right? We can build a journey and implementation across that journey that tracks back to their business goals. And, we can show what we've done. They understand, they come along with us in the process. And it's not that kind of old school thinking of, oh, you just, you give us access, we, disappear for a few months and we come back to you. We don't do that. So that approach never really works for us. And so when we were able to bring the client along, the results are much better at the end.
Yes. So I like to interview different representatives of platforms or Meta and ask them questions about their latest glasses. So since you've worked with so many platforms, what are the hottest features in Q4 2025 and beyond that we can expect from web development?
Yeah. So I think that in the architecture level, definitely the way that things are going, they've been going like this for a few years now, but they're going to continue to evolve in this way, is that you don't have one platform, right? So you have your website, but then you have a collection of channels across the board. You can call it that omni-channel, you can call it metaverse in a sense, and there's many different marketing terms for that kind of experience, right? But the idea is that you build a system that's scalable, and it can serve many different channels. So it's going to touch on your main presence online, which usually it's your website, especially if you're in the business to business side. The website is still a very important touch point. And then if you want to approach your customer in different channels, you have content for your social channels, you have content for your video content, right? Like that's super important on platforms like YouTube. So that's where we're going, right? What is really interesting in terms of technology is that we are in a world where APIs rule, right? And now we have this additional channel, which is the AI bots, or the models where customers are interacting directly with. So that gives it more of an importance for teams like us to be able to build an infrastructure that's scalable for any channel, right? Because what's happening now is that users may never land on your website because they're asking a question to the chatbot and they're just getting the answer right there. So what you need to be able to do is make your website or any of your channels sophisticated enough in terms of the data and the content so that the AI bots can actually pick it up, right? And that's where we see the trends going to in terms of generative engine optimization and this evolution of SEO, right? Where the foundation pieces of SEO are still there, and you have to continue to enhance that. But now you bring more technical tools into the stack of your website and other channels to serve content for AI, right? So through bots like ChatGPT, but any bots now, right? Like, so if you're talking about Perplexity, if you're talking about Copilot, it doesn't matter where the experience is, you are able to have a platform that brings that data front and center.
I love it. You're absolutely right with this AI search. It definitely shifted the dynamic. So my last question is how these big platforms like WordPress can sustain their position, because there are so many new competitors entering the market and there are newer technologies. So obviously there is some clutter and noise with a lot of new tech tools, but at the same time, someone can rival it. So what do you think contributes to, let's say, WordPress success in the market?
I think there's three things. There are like three main areas that WordPress needs to continue to innovate to become and to stay and continue to be the lead, right? So the first is ease of use and user experience. So if you're thinking from the point of view of a marketer or a content manager, WordPress has been successful because it's a low barrier entry point for content management, right? A lot of other platforms are super complicated, especially in the enterprise world. WordPress won because it was easy to use. WordPress kind of got too complicated over years too. It has too many options, it's trying to achieve too many things at the same time. So one of the things that I think WordPress will have to continue to evolve is in that user experience level of the content management experience to become a clear winner for content managers, right? And I think it can do it. If you see what WordPress invested in the last 3 years or so with the block editor, or what people call it Gutenberg, it started very flaky, let's say, very fragile, but it's been evolving very quickly into a robust system and very modular, right? So that world will change the experience for content managers, right? The second thing that I think WordPress has from the beginning, it's why it continues to lead, is the extensibility, right? So the fact that WordPress has this huge repository of plugins and that developers out there can quickly build solutions for it is one of the reasons why it stays as a lead, right? So when you think about the way that marketers need websites to function these days, you still need that extensibility more than ever, actually, right? So if you're trying to hook into your CRM to this stack, right? If you're trying to add data and analytics platforms on top of it for reporting, WordPress has all that extensibility to support that, and it has out of the box very sophisticated plugins that you can buy cheaply and you can build it your own. And now with vibe coding, where developers can just prompt these AI coding tools to build their solutions, that extensibility becomes more important, right? And then the third factor, which I think to me is the secret sauce of why WordPress is so successful, is the community around it. And it's been the case for many years, right? Since the beginning. It really gathered adoption in a community that's very open and willing to contribute back to it and produce content around it too, which helps even further with the factor of using vibe coding, because WordPress has one of the largest pieces of kind of documentation out there in the web for AI bots to consume it. So if you're using AI tools to build code, you're going to get better results when you're, as a developer, trying to build it, because all the documentation is out there. Everything's public and open, right? So the fact that this community was able to build all of this over many years, right? It's more than a decade. That Automatic alone's been there for 20 years, right? So it's one of the secret sauces, I think, for WordPress to continue to be successful. And I think it will continue to evolve because this community is very engaged, even when trouble comes on WordPress, because there's a lot of drama sometimes. They are still committed to it, right? And as long as those people are there contributing back to the platform, it will succeed. Other platforms invest a lot of money to get that developer adoption, and they cannot do it sometimes, right? So WordPress has been successful in that place.
Very interesting. Well, I learned a lot today. Thank you so much, Fabio.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.